Alright, welcome back everybody to another video here. This time we're going to be looking at a couple of articles that are talking about Starfield, the new game by Bethesda, and then basically looking at a couple minutes of gameplay trailers of that and kind of comparing it to No Man's Sky, because that's the game it's being compared the closest to, like kind of a mix of No Man's Sky and Fallout. So yeah, let's get right into it. So these are both articles from Games Radar here, and yeah, I think I actually just published today. So Starfield's new Atlantis is bigger than any city in Skyrim, Oblivion, or Fallout. So the scale of the game, you know what I mean, this is talking about, which this, if you only saw the initial gameplay trailer, which I saw, that I'm going to be looking at some of, it really didn't reveal a lot of this parts of the game. And when you see how much is procedurally generated in No Man's Sky, you know what I mean, it's quite a bit of it. It's what threw people off, I think, the most when it first released, because it really did seem like just textures of the same stuff and kind of repeated and rehashed. So this is reassuring to me a bit, but yeah, let's get through the article. So there are 4 big cities, but none bigger than New Atlantis. Todd Howard says that Starfield's New Atlantis is the biggest city Bethesda has ever built. Starfield has 4 major cities, as Howard tells IGN. New Atlantis, which we saw during the gameplay reveal at the Xbox and Bethesda showcase on Sunday, is the biggest among them and bigger than anything Bethesda has previously made. Oblivion's Imperial City, Skyrim's Solitude, and Fallout 4's Diamond City can all make room for the new king of big towns. So New Atlantis has all the service you would expect, and you can work on your ship there. The factions touch that, Howard says, but that's also the headquarters for Constellation, which is the faction that you join that is the last group of space explorers, kind of this NASA meets Indiana Jones meets the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen group. So much of Starfield's main story features Constellation, so you can expect to return to New Atlantis many times as you progress through the 30 to 40 hour, not counting side quests, campaign. Naturally, there will be plenty of side quests starting in New Atlantis too, and it serves as the capital of the United Colonies faction. So I just want to take a break to compare that, because like returning to the same planet, how they said there's say roughly 1,000 planets in the game they plan to have. In No Man's Sky, you're continuously kind of trying to traverse towards the center of the universe, as it were, so you're really never going back to places you had visited unless you had set up a base and you can kind of portal back, but it's not kind of designed in necessarily to revisit spots. And also, just to touch on the actual campaign experience, is something that was added later, you know, after the fact. It's not something that released with No Man's Sky. So plenty of additional details have come out since the big Starfield gameplay reveal, including information on the balance of handcrafted versus procedurally generated content. If you're concerned about the 1,000 planets thing, maybe that'll give you a better idea of what to expect. The game's also drawing some inspiration from FTL and MechWarrior for its combat systems, especially in space. So I'm going to go ahead and look at that article that's talking about the handcrafted versus procedurally generated content, since I mentioned it a little earlier. So Starfield has more handcrafted content than any previous Bethesda game, but despite a lot of procedural generation. So Todd Howard promises that some Starfield planets will be boring. Todd Howard's confirmed that Starfield's 1,000 planets will make use of procedural generation, but the game will still have more handcrafted content than any previous Bethesda game. We do have a lot of procedural generation, but I would keep in mind that we've always done that, Howard tells IGN. It's a big part of Skyrim in terms of questing and some other things we do. We generate landscape using procedural systems, so we've always kind of worked on it. Howard compares Starfield's procedural content to Daggerfall, the last Elder Scrolls game before Bethesda switched to handcrafted worlds in Morrowind, which I've never played. I've maybe played a little bit of Morrowind, but saying that Starfield will optionally provide that same sort of endless sandbox quest experience. I guess that Daggerfall had. So, and the game will make clear which of the planets are pure procedural areas. One of our big design considerations on this game is what's fun about an ice ball, and it's okay. Sometimes if it's okay sometimes if ice balls aren't. It is what it is. Howard suggests that the typical experience with those planets will be landing for 10 minutes, grabbing some resources, and blasting off for more interesting frontiers. But given the choice between including them or not, the team wanted to give players more options. But Howard also notes that we have done more handcrafting in this game, content-wise, than any game we've done. There are 200,000 lines of dialogue in the game, and Howard revealed that the main story is set to be about 20% longer than previous Bethesda games. A straight run through the main quest might be in the 30s, maybe 40 hours. So, I feel like these two articles gave a pretty good overall view of what to expect from the game. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and play a couple short videos of like the important parts of the gameplay, I think, just so I can kind of keep comparing the two games. So here's a little bit here, and I'll just go ahead and roll it in. So yeah, here I've heard some read some articles talking about that they want to make the combat somewhat based on like something like Mech Warrior-ish. You can see that mech walking out, which already has some combat ups on No Man's Sky, which is purely fighting in your ship and shooting your gun on the ground. Like right here, you can't get any oh, actually, you do have exo vehicles. Actually, I just haven't experienced that in the game, but that is an option. So here, if you look at these creatures, like how much detail's on them, I'm just trying to, get a good idea of that, because it's like sometimes the creatures in No Man's Sky were just very clunky. You know what I mean? You can tell that maybe it's like to make them different, they just expanded parts of its body, more than it should be, and kind of made it disproportional rather than, paying attention to like why evolutionally, right, it would be like that, or like more details to the creatures, I should say. So they're also non-hostile, right? They weren't just approaching them. There's a lot of creatures like that. See, it's identifying iron. He's mining it. Getting EXP for discovering an area. Switches to weapon to check it out. I mean, the environments look pretty nice. They're actually pirates on the ground. I don't remember ever fighting any humanoids in No Man's Sky, really. It was just, like I said, people in the ships or the creatures on the planets that you're fighting. Okay, some little puzzles. That guy was a bit higher level. Still gave him 5 EXP. All right. So I just wanted to show that, just to kind of compare. I was actually going to go back to where he had scanned to, kind of show. Like, obviously, they're probably going to add more to it, but remembering this, just scan range, flora, fauna, all that, and, going right into looking at some gameplay from No Man's Sky here. It's like, if you look similarly, right? I mean, of course you're gonna have the basic stuff of the UI, but I mean, in general, like Fe iron, they were mining. This is ferrite dust, uranium. You get EXP and currency for kind of discovering the things and mining stuff. I can understand why people would compare the games basically. You have stuff protecting you from the environment and all that. I don't think we really saw the environment having impact in in Starfield so far. But let me know what you guys think. I mean, people have been comparing, I think, the games No Man's Sky, just because it's an obvious easy comparison to make. But are the games, should we really expect them to be that similar? I mean, I'm gonna be checking out Starfield anyway. I'm not one of those people that, just because it looks like another game, I'm not gonna check it out. But I'm curious as to if people are writing it off already, or because of how much content they say they're gonna have in there, if it's also excited for it. I can't say I'm super hyped for it yet. There hasn't been that much that's dropped. I think it's still a ways off. It's probably more a 2024 release. But yeah, just wanted to make this video real quick to talk about that. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.